Hello, if you have a child that's struggling in school with maths, if you have any learner in school that is disengaged, on Mindset Monday today, our guest is here to give us great ideas from her own experience on how to get those learners engaged and help them have a growth mindset. And of course, we're dealing about positive mindset, solutions to problems on Mindset Monday. After the break, Christiana Imafidon will be with me and if you have any questions on this, if you want to engage with the questions, ask the questions. They all come up in front of me. Look forward to seeing you after the break.
It's time for a show on Relax Radio. It talks about me and you. It's time for a show on Relax Radio. It talks about me and you. So listen to us, yeah, 24 hours, and let the happiness come to you on Relax Radio. Tune in to Relax Radio. Relax Radio.
Welcome to today's Mindset Monday. Forgive my mask. I have to be isolated due to COVID. And today we have an extraordinary young woman, very inspirational young woman. If you have any learners in your life that are disengaged from school, this is the program for you. I've got a long blurb here, but I'm going to read all of it and then we'll talk to Christiana. So she's done so much. She's not even 30 yet. She's done so much. So Christiana is a Guinness World Record holder. She passed her GCSE maths at the age of 9. Don't let that put you off. Don't let that make you think that your learner can't do that. You'll see. Christiana's just got such a great mindset. And at 11 became the youngest student ever to attend a British university. She co-wrote her first book with her siblings called Maths Manual. So please do Google that, to help her friends that were struggling with maths. So already at a very young age, she wanted to help others that were struggling in a subject that she loved. It sold out on Amazon, and at 14, so she'd already done this before she was 14, she was invited by West Ham and Tottenham Hotspurs to join and play in their under-16s women's team. So not just maths, sport as well. It wasn't just maths, it's learning in general. Later, she was featured in Brummell's magazine of 30 Ones to Watch. It's a prestigious publication for high-powered people in the city and Europe's financial community. So we are watching Christiana, and she mentored women in the business. She mentored women in business at the Cherry Blair Foundation. She also set up Empowered to Work events to help graduates and young people entering the workforce, and has received Parliamentary awards for attainment in mathematics, mentoring the socially disadvantaged, and for entrepreneurship via Entrepreneur of the Year awards at the House of Commons. Now, her latest project, she empowers students to learn through Weekly Learning Masterclasses. And as I said, the ones I've seen so far, they're science, maths, and English. So she's versatile, and her focus is very much on helping disengaged learners to succeed, and also for the ones who are already succeeding to do even better. So it's all about empowerment. Welcome, Christiana.
Thank you for having me. Oh wow, what an introduction. I have to pitch myself, because sometimes it almost doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel like me. But as I say, I'm humbled and I'm honored. So thank you for having me. And of course, thank you for all the phenomenal work that you've done to put this together. This is awesome. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, this is the great thing about thank you. This is you're giving me way too much credit. This is I got asked to do this radio program in November, and then we promptly went into lockdown. So I've been doing this from home using StreamYard ever since. And I'm actually at the moment in Spain. isolated, having to wear a mask. Whatever it takes. We're the can-do girls, aren't we?
Good. Awesome, of course.
Christiana's tagline is, oh my goodness, my brain has just gone. You tell your tagline, Christiana.
Your best is yet to come.
Yes. And I'm 58. I'm going to be 59 in just over a month. And absolutely, my best is yet to come. And I met Christiana. How long ago did we meet, Christiana? To remind me how we met, because people have been asking me, how did I meet you? And I don't actually remember. Sorry. Told you my memory was selective.
Don't worry. We met, I believe, at a business conference. Wilson Luna.
Oh my goodness.
Remember. Yeah, so that was quite some time
Right.
ago.
Okay. So Wilson Luna. Okay, I remember Wilson Luna. Right. So I didn't remember that was where we met, but it's great. She told me about her book, and I make maths fun. That's what I do. My purpose in life is that every child on earth. My mission in life is that every child on earth should love learning and enjoy mathematics. So anytime I meet someone who's on the same path, we don't necessarily click. Depends who they are, but with Christiana, we definitely clicked. And it's been years since we've actually spoken, but I've had the pleasure of seeing her on TikTok, on Facebook stories. Facebook stories comes up practically every day with these wonderful recipes and the food that she's eating, and these your best is yet to come, and these little, each day there's a just teeny little snippet. And I've just discovered by doing the program, you also have a podcast.
Yes.
So we all the links to all of Christiana's, not all, because this woman did not include her YouTube channel on here, which is, what is your YouTube channel?
Channel of Empowerment. I honestly thought that you received the link. I could resend it. I do recall inserting a link last minute, just before pressing send to you. I
tell you what I can do is I just realized I can post it in the comments. So I'm going to post it in the comments, ladies and gentlemen. And that way, we've got 4 comments so far. I hadn't been looking. Hi, Samad. Samad joins us every week. It's brilliant. Samad says, mindsets are not just important for learning new skills. They can affect the way we think about everything. Yes, exactly, Samad. Exactly. So when people say, why should I bother learning maths? I'm never, ever going to use it. What learning maths is doing is precisely that. Is teaching you, is training you in a mindset that is a problem-solving mindset, that is overcoming mistakes mindset, and you use it in everything. Absolutely. For example, a growth mindset can help you recover from illness because you believe that you can do something about the illness. Yes. It's like giving you possibilities rather than taking all your hope away. Absolutely. Samad, brilliant. Love it. And I'm just posting Christiana's YouTube channel, which is going on everywhere except YouTube, which is interesting. Anyway, everyone that isn't
the irony
will have received that. And there's an error message occurred on the YouTube one. But Channel of Empowerment, if you just literally type in Channel of Empowerment on YouTube, it'll come up. And then subscribe, and that's what I'm going to, I've already subscribed. Right, so Christiana. Right, so let's start at the very beginning. To have achieved a GCSE O-level. Now, before I say this, I'm going to remind you that the fact that Christiana did her GCSE O-level at age 9 and got, passed it and all that. Presumably you got an A, I'm guessing. We don't hear about the result that you got. Or whatever.
No, because of what happened when we first went to do it. Well, because of what happened the day that we were going to the exam hall. So the car broke down. I was so excited.
No. Actually, wait. Start before that. Why did you actually start doing your GCSE O-level at age 9? Why did you even register for it?
That is a fantastic question. Oh my gosh. So this is how it came about. So I, as for those of you who don't know, I love maths. I really do. It was my favorite subject at school. Now, what happened was there was a series of different things, but one of the occasions there was well, there's two things. The first one was that I identified a mistake in a maths book written by someone who had a PhD in maths. And so it was very extraordinary that anybody picked it up, because many students had gone through that same maths book and nobody had picked it up. And this is like for years. So this was like the standard, the gold standard for maths resources and textbooks used in that area, right? And then the second thing was that my dad actually accidentally gave me a physics paper to do, and I'd never done physics before.
Accidentally?
Yes, I know, because I don't know. It was
primary school children don't even know.
Other things on his mind. He has to be like, he's the person to ask about that. I don't know how that transpired, but it did. And so
they call physics science in primary school. So yeah, I mean, what would you
I didn't learn this at the time. So he gave it to me by accident, and then by the time he realized it was the incorrect paper, that it was supposed to be maths, he was like, oh my gosh, okay, well, since her head is down and she's really working at it to the point where smoke is coming out of her pen, let me just leave her to it and let's see what happens. So when I finished, I was like, okay, there you go, I've got it. So he then found that even though I'd never seen the questions before, I got 2/3 of the questions right. So it was like, okay, all right. So what do we do? I know. Can you imagine? So
you've just been absorbing and interpreting the world around you. You've just been like, just eyes wide open, brain wide open, absorbing the world around you, and just working things out for yourself.
Yes, and enjoying it at the same time. I think, without you overusing the phrase, I think I enjoy the process of learning in a context that I feel expresses my own creativity. And mathematics gave me the opportunity to do that. Sport gave me the opportunity to do that. So as you mentioned in my bio, I was approached by West Ham and Tottenham Hotspurs to join the under-16s teams. Now, this was quite key because I spent more time playing football than I did doing maths when it came to doing GCSE. So it was very much an unnatural transition for me, or it was based on pursuing my interests to a logical point where it didn't matter about the result. It didn't matter about the performance. I was just in the moment, and I was in an environment where it was encouraged and it was supported. So I felt like I could achieve anything. I felt very happy in myself, and I felt like there was two things with my maths: that number one, it was something that I liked; number two, I could add value to others; and number three, I could help someone else at the same time. And I felt even that in football, I was attacking midfielder. Now that I realize, I mean, I was just running all over the place, but I love playing it, but I love playing it as a team. So I loved the teamwork aspect because I liked it when people fed me the ball to be able to shoot and score, or I liked it when I could set someone up and someone scored for our team. So it was either I was celebrating my own goal or celebrating the achievements and the accomplishments of the team. And so it got to a point where actually at the age of 9, I was more known for my football prowess than I was for maths. And this is a very important distinction to make, because if you hear the bio, you think, oh, okay, she just does maths and
head down,
that's her favorite thing.
Yeah, nerd, nothing else. Yourself to yourself, not a team player.
Yeah. And that's a misconception. It's a total misconception, because maths is, from my understanding, pattern recognition. Maths is problem solving. And the context in which where it's applied is not defined by the classroom or the environment. It's defined by the learner and where they choose to apply it.
Right.
At that time, what I felt I could do was, I felt that maths was intuitive because of arithmetic. So at the time, I really enjoyed arithmetic, but I felt maybe on a subconscious level, I could apply some of the principles of what I've learned in the classroom on the playground when playing football. And I think now that I see analysis and it involves geometry, it's like, oh, okay, so there's some things that I actually didn't know at the time that I was doing instinctively, but because of the fact that it had become routine for me, it was natural. So I was playing football
so
5 times a day.
I would very much like to actually have a separate conversation with you about that, because that's one of the things when I'm delivering. Samad has got a couple of questions, by the way, so we'll just deal with those in a moment, Samad. But when I was, which I well, not doing at the moment, I'm doing it online, delivering workshops, delivering shows to young learners, and it'll come up, the question will come up, why am I doing this? Why should I bother doing this? I'm never going to use maths when I'm not at school. And one of the points is that if you're playing football, you're doing maths. Even if you're walking across the room, actually, you're estimating where you need to go and how you're going to get there and everything. So it would be really valuable to me to actually integrate those thoughts into one of the workshops that I do, into one of the resources that I'm writing, because I've not actually ever managed to speak to someone that plays football that gets the connection, because I don't play football, and I'm going to make a hypocrite out of myself now by saying that I'm no good at football.
No,
I can't say that. No, I can't say it. I'm not allowed to say it. I have a growth mindset. Therefore, I can learn to play football.
Yeah. Do you know, because it's the same way as saying I can't sing. That's a swear word to me. Even that, I mean, I was spiritually repulsed at the fact that I even said that like that. But it's the idea that you think that, you know, there's a difference between singing like Beyonce or singing like Adele and just making a note or singing a simple song. And I think too many people, you know, when you just said that statement, which I consider a swear word, too many people approach, you know, they have the mindset that if they can't play football like Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi, or David Beckham, you know, therefore they are totally rubbish. And, you know, why does it matter? All it's about is putting the ball in the back of the net. Well, you know, it's like saying basketball is all about putting the ball in the basket. You know, it's that it takes the fun and the flair out of it, and you forget it's an art, and it's called the beautiful game for a reason.
I'm just so loving this. We're so on path, and I have been fixing my own mind. My focus has always been on maths and the subjects I'm good at, and well, actually I'm not good at maths, but the thing is, that is the point. That's why I do what I do, because I know what it's like to not be good at a subject and yet succeed at it. And that's why I chose maths as my subject, and enjoy, not just succeed but enjoy. We're going to go for a break. After the break, what we're going to do is Samad has a couple of questions. So stand by, Samad. We're going to answer, well, I'm going to answer your questions. It'll be up to Christiana if she does or not. And if anybody else has any questions, please ask them. If you know of a learner who's struggling, please share this live and they get them to put in questions. And in the description is Christiana's masterminds that she's running to help. Now, this is GCSE level, isn't it? The masterminds.
So the masterclasses are aimed at GCSE. So initially it was started at GCSE. Sorry,
we've got to do the break. So just
apologies.
Ish, let's say 14 to 18-year-olds ish.
Yeah, I'd say 11 to 16.
Thank you. That's what we needed. I'm going to go for the break, and then when we get back, we're going to be talking more. But please do share the link. Tell other people about it if you know someone that's struggling with maths or science or English or just purely mindset. Please get them to join, and we're putting questions, and we're going to do our best to help you. Right, here comes the lovely. I do love this jingle. Here we go.
It's time for a show on Relax Radio. It talks about me and you. It's time for a show on Relax Radio. It talks about me and you. So listen to us. What's for us? None of the happiness comes to Tune in to Relax Radio. Relax Radio.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome. So I promised some answers to some questions. Now he has asked, I don't know why he's asking, and you are under no obligation whatsoever to answer. But Samad has asked, he's on, I'm assuming it might not, I just assumed it was a gentleman. I don't know if you're a gentleman or a lady, actually, Samad. I don't know. Anyway, my current council name is Croydon. Don't know why you're asking. My origins, I was born in London, but I was brought up in Spain. I've lived in a few different places. I've lived in Denmark. I have several languages. I don't know if that's of interest to you. I speak some Danish. I speak a reasonable amount of French, Spanish. And then what's the other question? What do I do? What is my profession? My profession, I used to call myself a maths entertainer, but now I am calling myself a maths crusader.
Oh, wow.
I'm on a mission, and that is my mission. Although my actual profession, what I went to university for was an electronic engineer. One of the few female electronic engineers. There's still not very many women doing electronic engineering. Christiana, are you happy to answer any of those questions?
I was going to say, woo, for being one of the only few women to study electronic engineering, that is totally awesome. But I'm saddened that not many have done so since you went to university. So
that's what. Yeah. So I've got another. That's another mission is to encourage other women to do engineering. So
awesome.
What about you? The questions are.
Yes. Sorry. Yes. Would you mind repeating them, please?
Just pass it by if you don't want to answer it.
Okay.
Your council name, don't know why. Your origins, and what is your profession?
Okay. So in terms of is it council name? The
council name. I guess that's where you live. Okay. And your origin, like mine is, I guess I'm British, but I'm British, but I have family from all over. I'm like Heinz 57 Caucasian, really. So
okay.
European, all over Europe, personally. That's mine. Samad is in Bangladesh, which is brilliant.
Oh, wow.
Probably why the interest in the.
I'm a Londoner as well. And then in terms of profession, I would say actually, I am an entertainer. So I'm an entertainer, and then followed by a student. But when I say I'm an entertainer, it's in the delivery of the masterclasses, in the delivery of, and I'd like to share online tutoring. And it's not really online tutoring now. It's now looking at information absorption. So before, let's say last year, that's what I thought. I guess it was online tutoring, then transitioned to online mentoring, and now information absorption. And so, entertainment is the vehicle, education is the fuel.
And I love that education absorption, because that is the key, isn't it? That's what we're all, because no one can learn for you. It's not possible for somebody to physically learn for you. So the only way that any learner in the world is going to learn is to learn for themselves. And if they're disengaged, switched off, that's when you're in trouble. And Oh, okay. I'm going to put latest. So Samad is telling us about. I'm guessing you're a lady, Samad. I'm looking at your profile picture there. So Samad World Gallery. So so if you got anything you can share, have you got a Facebook page or something like that? We're happy to share it on here for you, Samad. And if you put in a little message about what you do in Samad World Gallery, we'll share it. Happy to share it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So Christiana,
Yes.
what did you do for your degree in the end?
Mathematics and statistics.
Mathematics and statistics. And then
Yes.
let's go back. Let's just take a step back to the timeline. And one thing I'm really, really interested in, well, I'll ask you the question afterwards. What was the timeline? So you were in primary school in year 5 when you did your 4? You did year 4
end
when
of
you
year 4.
So you were 9 years old, end of year 4. You did your GCSE maths. Oh yes, you were going to tell us the story about
That's right.
the day started. You were going to go and do your GCSE, and what happened?
And then I was very fortunate to be in Walthamstow at a time where there was now more of a conversation and more of the infrastructure around gifted and talented. So because there was precocious talent identified in my older sister, Dr. Anne-Marie Imafidon MBE, it was therefore easier to identify if there were any traits or qualities that could be seen in me. And so that's how the idea then came about, more within the community, to see what could be done to nurture and support that. And so when the idea of GCSE came about for me at the time, Anne-Marie had done GCSE at the age of 10. So I saw her and, I wanted to replicate that as well. I thought it was the best thing since sliced bread. And I felt like if I did my GCSE, then it was a coming of age. It was very much for me something that was very exciting because it meant I could meet those older children. And, I didn't know it would give me a confidence boost because I did it because of the excitement of it looking really cool. But what happened was inadvertently, I guess it's the law of unintended consequences. I then had that confidence boost when the minute the exam was over, I got approached by someone who was a year older than you are now, 60, who asked me whether or not I did the exam. And I thought, of course I just, he was like, how old are you? I said, I'm 9. He was like, you're 9? I said, yeah. So he was like, I'm 60. What? Oh my gosh, I didn't know there were people like that wrote the exam. So I thought, wow. And so that for me, that was my A star. I mean, I didn't need.
Did you say you are old?
Yes, I did. I'm sorry. It was a knee-jerk reaction, and I didn't know how to contain myself. So I thought, and he had come out with another woman who was about 34. She was a Colombian woman. And so she's like, I've just written it as well. I was like, wow. So GCSE is not just for 16-year-olds then. So it's really for adults. So,
right.
I at that point, it was like, wow, this is huge. I mean, after going through that experience, you as I say, you have a huge confidence boost because as a child, you think that adults are otherworldly, they're up there, they're esoteric beings, that they don't come down to your level. And for the first time in my life, I could relate to an adult on the same level. It brought it down to earth how huge that had been, because what he's saying is that he's gone through life. There's a life cycle that you go through education. You finish it at, let's say, if you're going to go to university, you graduate at 21, and then you go into full-time work. And you think about the amount of time from the age of 21 until 60 to be working is a huge amount of time. And at that time I was 9. So it's like, that's longer than I've been alive if I do some quick math. So I then thought, okay, if someone can approach me like that after writing the exam, it made me boost my confidence that, oh, okay, I'm intellectually at home here, that it's intellectually appropriate for me to be here. I don't need to be doubting myself. And with the greatest of respect, I do have to say that it came from the support network at the time. I was doing it with other people. I was even the youngest of the people I was doing it with. And also there was a lot of support from home. My dad did encourage me. And I was, very fortunate that at that time I was going through speech therapy. So it was a very contradictory time. There was a lot that was going on at that time. So I'll explain the full timeline as to what the precursor to writing GCSE was, and then after GCSE, what did I do, and how everything then manifested from there. So what happened was, at the start of the year in year 4, we lost a childhood friend because of a misdiagnosed asthma attack. So we were all like, the whole school was in tears. It was just a time of grief. And so at that time, if you're 8 years old, is grief really what you want to be dealing with? Is it really something that you have the scope to understand? Whether or not that made sense, I had to go through it. So at that point, you review a lot of things. Like, you have to start asking yourself, am I not behaving well? I asked myself a lot of questions about, at that time, the way I was living life. I was just really quite sad. And following that, I think that maybe that sadness is what contributed to an initial knock in confidence. So what I realized is, going through school, mathematics was used as a proxy for intelligence. So it was said that if you were good at maths, therefore you were good at all subjects. And
You're
quite frankly,
yeah, you're clever. Only
yes,
the good at math are the clever ones.
yes.
Yeah.
And I
I
think
tell you,
that's
we're going to do a pause.
Yep.
So when we come back, we'll find out how you went from being in a place of grief and lacking in confidence. So when you talked about, you've done that with the GCSE. We can have a brief timeline on from then to now, including at what age you did your degrees and whatnot.
Yes.
And then we're going to go back to we're going to address, because we haven't actually done that yet. We've talked about, it's just so amazing. I just could listen to you all day long. We're going to do that, and then we're going to connect how your experience, it kind of sounds like a contradiction in terms of, we're going to connect how your experience actually can help people who are disengaged in learning.
Okay.
We'll be back straight after the lovely jingle.
It's time for a show on Relax Radio. It talks about me and you. It's time for a show on Relax Radio. It talks about me and you. So listen to us here 24 hours and let the happiness come to you on Relax Radio. Tune in to Relax Radio. Relax Radio.
I have no idea if you could hear Christiana laughing there. I don't know if it's muted up, but I just danced to the jingle. I love it. So Christiana, you had this awful loss of this friend, and then your confidence went down. You managed to get confidence back by doing your GCSE O level at the age of maths at the age of 9, and then what happened?
Okay, so
we get a chance to talk about how we can help the disaffected learners.
So I will cut to the chase then. So after passing GCSE at 9, I then attended my first ever lecture at the age of 10. And what happens is, I realize now, there's a register that you get added to when you do extraordinary things at an early age, or when you are showing early promise in a certain area in a way that is demonstrable to the masses, or to, I guess, the state. And so you're added to a database, government database, and so there were opportunities coming up. And I from my understanding, this may have been one of those times when there was an opportunity to go to university and attend my first ever lecture, and that was at the age of 10. And I went for my very first lecture in English. It was lovely. I enjoyed it. It was a soothing and a very therapeutic experience. Even though my background was in maths, they made me feel very welcome, very part of the lecture, and I'm very glad I did it. Really grateful. Then the next year, the opportunity came to study at undergraduate level and study at university at the age of 11 on a government scholarship.
Is that full time now? Are we talking full time here, or are you still attending school?
Still attending school.
So you still got your classmates. You've still got your social network going, and you're still doing normal school.
Yes,
right?
That's right. And then so what happened was, when it came to now normal school, I actually opted to go to, well, I didn't opt to go. My parents made the extraordinary and fantastic decision to encourage me to go to Dartford Grammar School for Girls. So I did write scholarship exams at that time. And it was actually through Dartford that the opportunity came to join West Ham and Tottenham Hotspurs when it came to GCSEs. And so
you actually joined the academy, by the way. They made you the offer. Did you join either of the academies?
No, because I didn't take it seriously enough, Caroline. So what happened was, I had
you
already
would have
set
chosen
my
West Ham, right? You would have chosen West Ham, wouldn't you?
Yes, yes. My mum would have made sure that was the only place I was going to go, because as an Arsenal supporter, I can't say the name of the other team.
Oh, okay, but you just got to wash your mouth out now, because yes, I completely understand the other comment, but yes, no, you can't be that.
I know.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so it was just a no-go area. So even what happened after that is that there was further opportunities to do computer science at university, and at that time an MEng. And so it
is that
was
Master in Engineering?
Yes, and the Masters in Engineering. Yeah. And what made me settle on maths at university, or maths and statistics rather, at university, is that I loved maths and I wanted to play to my strengths. And I think at that time, it was very important that if I was going to pursue undergraduate study, it was going to be in a subject that would sustain my interest, and maths ticked that box, and statistics also ticked that box.
So at what age did you do that?
Okay, so at this age, I actually did it at 20, because so what happened was, I actually went to university, or I studied computer science at university at 18, and then I did a U-turn. So there was a period where I actually was looking at, okay, if it wasn't computer science, what do I then want to then do? There was the option of engineering, and then eventually settled on maths after doing mentoring in the city with maths students in A-level. So I actually spent time at Texas Instruments, and then went into the inner city to support students in their A-level mathematics.
So your first love is that mentoring, isn't it? I know you've mentored your family, haven't you? Would you say that, am I interpreting that correctly, that your first love really is to help others? When you wrote the book,
Yes.
We haven't spoken about the book. You got a book published at age nothing. What was it, 14? Well, I introduced the book at the beginning. That's when I first met Christiana. She mentioned the book. I was like, what? I wouldn't know. And that was to help your colleagues, your young co-learners, who had problems with maths.
Yes, that's correct. That's it. That's how it works. And so, if there's 15 people asking you for maths homework at school, you can't split yourself 15 times. So instead, you leverage and you write 15 books, or you write one book and have it published 15 times.
There you go. A book. Buy a book. So yes. So let's start with a few of the. I'm sorry. What have you done since? So did you get your degree in maths and?
I did, which I'm so happy. So here's what's actually happened. I got my degree in mathematics and statistics. I went into industry, so I recognized that I needed to. I'm actually going to talk about speech therapy because at the time, at the age of 8, I was sent to see a speech therapist and I think school psychologist because of the forming of sentences at that time. And so to build on my confidence, my parents encouraged me to do debating. They encouraged me to develop it. And I noticed that needed to be improved upon graduation because I felt that it was going to be an important skill because I always wanted to go into business. And so it was, for me, very important to develop the skill set required to set up a successful business. And
Yeah.
so at that time, I knew more Greek than I did English, because if you know anything about maths at university level, it is notation. You do not do essays. You do not, I mean, okay, fine. I did an essay on the history of calculus, if I'm being honest.
No, electronic engineering is the same. No essays.
Oh, okay, yes. You know, all you speak is notation, all you speak is numbers, all you speak is precepts and concepts. And so if you speak to the layman, they don't understand that. If you speak to an ordinary person on the street, it's not really a language that they can fully appreciate. So I had to now switch and understand what it meant to communicate with the ordinary person on the street. So I went and I embarked on a PR and communications traineeship at the Taylor Bennett Foundation. So that came about because I really wanted to understand and deconstruct the public profile or the public reputation, or I'd say the reputation of someone like Warren Buffett, because I was inspired by him from, learning about him from economics and being introduced to the Forbes Rich List through that experience. So it was, how do you get that reputation and how do you communicate it to a section of people who you wouldn't normally communicate with? And that's what the premise of the decision to pursue that was. So following that, I then went into fintech, which is financial technology. And the goal there was to get my feet and my hands wet in a new and emerging industry where it was uniting my background, professional background in financial services with the new, very shiny and fantastic world of technology. And it was a great way to strike the balance. So following that, I then actually did a little bit of blockchain. And for those of you who don't know what blockchain is, it's the technology behind Bitcoin. And I was exploring all the different use cases of what can it be used to do and how do you communicate it to the younger generation so that they're well equipped for the world of tomorrow. And that's how Empowered to Work came about. So Empowered to Work came about because it was a way of solving a problem that young professionals had about the world of work, whether it was the questions they had, the inhibitions they had, or what they wanted to know, because young professionals to the world of work are like year 7s in secondary school, right? So they're like a deer in headlights, and they're not able to navigate a way that they've never been through before. So
is Empowered to Work still an ongoing concern?
That's a good question. It is, but in a different format now, because whereas before it was based on the people who had jobs, I think now we would need to pivot to people who either didn't have jobs or to people who are returning into the world of work. So there would be a different focus, but the premise of it is still the same in terms of helping people to adapt to the changing world of work.
Talking about growth mindset again here, aren't we? We're back
yes, exactly.
We're going around in circles here. It's all about the mindset. And if you've been listening to this to Christiana, you'll hear that her I'm going to just quote some quotes here. We were talking earlier before we started. I can't remember what the problem was, but whatever the problem was, Christiana said, just out of the blue, something went wrong. She goes, I take full responsibility, and I did blah, blah, blah. That taking full responsibility for your own actions and living that to the point where it's not, there's no stigma attached to it. There's no downside to it at all. It's just like, okay, right, I take responsibility for that. What we're going to do is this and this and that to solve it. And yeah, we had a problem with the sound, didn't we, Christiana, before we started? And I knew we were going to solve it because we both have a growth mindset, and it was just like a matter of, okay, what is the solution, rather than, oh no, we've got a problem, we're just going to know what to do. So it was you have the problem, and you go, okay, we've got a problem, what are we going to do about it? And that's certainly what I do. My solution to, if you make a mistake or if there's a problem, is ask the question, what did I learn, and what can we do about it? So what snippets and well, I'm going to, and I haven't been, have I? Because I when I'm live, I have to refer to my notes sometimes to actually get it, because I have written it down here. Tell me your tagline again.
Your best is yet.
Yeah, I'll shut up and allow you to say it. So,
your best is yet to come.
And if you follow Christiana on TikTok, the links are in the description. On TikTok, Facebook, her Facebook things that appear, stories,
yes, Facebook stories.
And she also does a podcast. You will hear that, and I tell you what, it is very empowering hearing that on a regular basis. It's wonderful. So keep it up. So yes, what are your tips? What are your, not tips, I'm not even saying tips. Tips is too small a word. Okay. What are your empowering words to help parents, to help learners that are disengaged, that are, why should I bother? But after, we're going to do that after the break. I've just noticed the time. This is like flown by. So we're going to spend the last few minutes. I'll tell you that, yeah, I'm going to spend the last few minutes just giving you tips after tips after tips on how to empower disempowered learners.
Time for a show on Relax Radio. It talks about me and you. It's time for a show on Relax Radio. It talks about me and you. So listen to us here 24 hours. Let the happiness come to you on Relax Radio. Tune in to Relax Radio. Relax Radio.
Mine gets muted. Yours didn't get muted, so
no. So you can hear everything I'm saying.
I can hear everything you were saying. That was fun. Right. Okay. We have at 16:59. I have to cut off and go on to Happy Maths Hour. So it'd be great if you can join us on that. I can send you a link if you want. Not as in watch it, because we've got the whole thing prepared, but I would please join us another time when we've here live with us. We can prepare a session with you, because Tony's very prepared. This is the founder of Enrich, Christiana. She does Happy Maths Hour with me, and we are very prepared. Okay. So, but yes, please, we'd love to have you on. We'll work something out if you'll join us another time.
Sure, whenever works.
Yeah, we'll communicate. We'll talk. So tell us how your tips. I'm going to write them all down. I know it's recorded, but I'm going to write them all down. Christiana's tips on your growth mindset, on how to succeed on, and I know one of the ones you said. So if you don't say it, I'll remind you what it was. I'm ready. I'm writing. I've got my pen ready.
So have a can-do mentality. I think one of the other ones. Anyway, I'm going to do this totally naturally now. I'm not preparing anything. So the idea of your best is yet to come comes from the premise that if you are a learner, you can learn from your mistakes. And if you learn from your mistakes, you can use the lessons from those mistakes to enrich your experience. So what that means is, if you have done something before, and this is something that I said to the student that I was working with in GCSE English language who was resitting, I said the biggest asset you have compared to someone who is in year 11 right now is the fact that you've done it before. And so that experience is very valuable when you're going into the exam, because you're now starting from the added advantage that you can simulate what the experience is like. So according to the learning pyramid, the best way to learn is by teaching others, because your average retention rate is 90%, followed by practicing by doing, which has an average information retention rate of 75%. Now, what that means is that if you simulate the real thing, it's as close to the real thing as possible. And that way, it's a great way to be a lab or a testing booth, let's say, for what you will do in real life. And so your ability to simulate what the true experience is like based on your previous experience is what gives you an advantage. And that's where your best is yet to come comes from. That you will see better days ahead than you've seen before, because you've got the benefit of experience to give you that hope. The other thing that I'd like to drop
to bring it down
Good.
to, I've made a mistake.
Yes.
Oh no, that's the end of the world. You can use that same principle to say, okay, I've made a mistake, which means that next time I do the same thing, I will have the experience, I'll have the benefit of that experience, and therefore I've learned from it, and therefore I can do something different.
That's right.
Nice. Okay.
Or even
so
do it better.
Do it better. Absolutely. Okay, so it's your ability to simulate. I like that. I hadn't thought about it that way before. And go ahead. Next, I'm ready. I'm right. I'm making notes.
Sure. So the next aspect is, when you are dealing with failure, think, what can I do now? Okay, so what can we do? And it's great if you have people that you love and trust that you can talk this problem through. So there's two aspects to this. The aspect is that you have to recognize that failure is a part of success, and so therefore inevitable, even if you're doing something for the first time. And secondly, it is that it helps if you talk through problems with other people that you trust and you love, who you know you respect the perspective of. As they say, a problem shared is a problem halved. And so while I go back to the example of the student I was working with for GCSE English language, it was the fact that they had a cohesive team around them, whether that was their mum, me, and themselves. And for the first time, they could see how logical passing the exam could be, because it was seen as something that was esoteric. They wrapped their identity in that mistake, in that grade. And that's another thing that I would say. Yes, don't. If you have a perspective on failure that is what defines you, it will. But if you have the perspective on failure that this is only a stepping stone to my next success, you will treat it very differently. And that's why actually passing GCSE as a child worked, because I didn't have a perception of fear, or I didn't have a perception of failure that most 16-year-olds have, that gets in the way of their ability to perform, because they're afraid of making a mistake, because they feel that they've got to GCSEs now, they have to do what they have to do, or they have to succeed. So
what is the solution to that person who is experiencing that, whether they're 8, 16 or 58?
Good. Simulating the experience, so practicing before the exam and being prepared. And I would say the second thing is by consistently teaching others. And I'm saying teaching others in terms of teaching people who know nothing about the subject, to help you check the gaps in your own understanding. That actually was the foundation.
That is huge, Christiana. That is huge. Teach others who know nothing
Yes.
I'm making a note, who know nothing, to identify the gaps in your own understanding. And I am actually doing that myself now, because I help people enjoy maths, but I've actually only just taken it really seriously recently to rehash the maths that I apparently didn't learn when I went to school, because there are huge gaps in my understanding, and that I'm actually going through that process right now. Who know nothing, that's fantastic. And so okay, so you're talking about exams here specifically,
and the learning process.
And learning process. What about those that are sitting there, they're sometimes 8, sometimes 10, sometimes 14, going, not even listening in class, completely disengaged, going, why should I bother? I'm never going to use this. Go away, leave me alone.
That's a great question. And I would say start with your interests. So what are you interested in? Now, the thing is,
I can answer that. I'm going to be a football player. I don't need it. I'm going to be a YouTube personality. I don't need education. Okay, over to you.
All right. So I hear and I acknowledge what you're saying. What I want you to think about is, in 5 years' time, where do you see yourself? In 10 years' time, where do you see yourself? Are you going to rely on the beauty personality that you are today, or the football talent that you are today, to get to the next level? Because even the best of the best, they study their craft. So if you want to be where you are today and you are happy, okay. But if you want to get better and you intend to make football a career, or you intend to make beauty personality something that can feed your family, you're going to need to think beyond your nostrils and think a few steps ahead. Because you have to think about, if it is that you don't need maths, forget having an accountant, don't make money, or if you make money, you count it yourself, and think about, what can you potentially not do without having maths? I think that the way you're looking at it is that, how will the algebra that you're learning in the classroom help you in real life? And I completely understand that. But let's flip it a little bit. Maths is not about algebra, and it's not about Pythagoras, nor is it about arithmetic. It's about being able to come up with solutions to real world problems. And your ability to come up with a solution to the problem you have is a function of the maths that you know, and your ability to apply it.
And the ability to think that you have trained in all the years that you have done maths. The more you engage in that maths, the better you will be able to think and solve problems.
Sure.
Yeah. Samad has come up with another question, and we're nearly out of time. Christiana, we've only addressed about half of what I wanted to talk to you about. So will you come again, please? Seriously, will you come again?
Will you come? I'll be on it.
Again, brilliant. So we'll schedule you in for sometime in February, if that's all right. Because literally, I have a whole page left of questions that I want to talk to you about, and more of this wonderful content that you're giving us to help learners who are disengaged. So thank you. Brilliant. We'll do this again. You're going to come on Happy Maths Hour. We'll work something out with Tony. And Samad has questions. So yeah, I don't think we've got time to address that question, Samad. So you come on every week. Hopefully you will be coming on next time Christiana's with us, and to ask that question again, or send me Christiana. Samad's talking about technology-based learning and exam system is best. And I'm like, we don't have time. Sorry, I've got less than a minute. So in the next hour, Tony Bearden and I will be on Happy Maths Hour. Today we are talking about how to learn by spotting mistakes. So we're playing Spot the Mistake, and that is a great way to learn, because it's not, with the beauty of this psychologically, is it's not your mistake. Her lovely activity suggests to teachers that they take the mistakes of the activities they've been handed, copy them, just the mistakes, pass them around the whole class without saying who made the mistake, and get the whole class to work out what the problem was and how to solve it, and what went wrong. And that's like a great way for the whole class to learn out of and take the sting out of the mistakes as well. It's 5 o'clock. Thank you so much for coming, Christiana.
Thank you for having me.
And I look forward to our next session. Yay!
Yes. Thank you. See you.
You too.